We've got some serious shortcuts for you to take through Disney World, and we can tell you how to get some of the best food for the lowest prices. We've got 20 Disney secrets that only the diehards know about here on DFB Guide. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog, and I love this video. We have got 20 Disney secrets that only the Disney diehards know about. So if you are a Disney diehard, be sure to watch and make sure that you know all of these as well. The first one we're going to start out with is you can't always trust the wait times. That's right, those wait times that you see on your My Disney Experience app, those aren't always going to be your true wait times. This is especially true at the end of the night. Now, it's not always the case, but often the rides will show a longer wait time than the actual wait time at the end of the night. Now, remember, you can get in line up to park closing so that if the park closes, you can hop in line at 8:59, if the park closes at 9, and you'll still get to ride. But those wait times sometimes show a little bit longer than they actually are, so keep that in mind. Next up, some seats on rides are better than others. Believe it or not, we don't think you should just take your assigned seat, but you need to ask to sit in certain areas on certain rides. So riding Big Thunder Mountain Railroad is a perfect example over there in Magic Kingdom. It's a totally different ride in the front versus in the back. Now, if you sit in the front, it's going to be a tamer ride. Some people would say a lamer ride, a much smoother ride than the super bumpy, much faster, at least it feels much faster and sort of fishtaily ride that you're going to get if you sit in the last row. So if you're a little more of a thrill seeker, you're going to want to go ahead and sit in the last row on Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. And if you're riding with maybe your kiddo who just made the height requirement for BTMRR, then you want to grab that front row. So when you come down through the line and the seat assigner is there, you just request which one that you want. Now, this is a similar situation over on Slinky Dog Dash in Disney's Hollywood Studios. If you ride in the front, you'll have Slinky Dog's head blocking your view in front of you, so you want to ride in the back on that one as well. And remember, on pretty much any dark ride, the front row is going to give you a better view than the back row. So if you guys have any other examples of where seat choice makes a huge difference on a ride, let us know in the comments. Next up, first aid isn't just for emergencies. Those first aid centers in all of the parks will carry lots of OTC, over-the-counter medicines. They've got Band-Aids. They've got things that you might need while you're in the parks. Now, if you just need one dose of Tylenol or some Band-Aids, you head on in there and they'll have you write down why you came by and sign in, and you'll be able to get that stuff. So don't buy a whole box of Band-Aids if you just need one Band-Aid. Just head over to first aid and they have them in all 4 parks. Next tip, going to the second nighttime show or parade. If there are 2 nighttime shows or 2 parades at your particular park, if you attend the second one instead of the first, you're going to have lower crowds. It's going to be much easier to find a seat to see that parade or that show. This is often true of parades in the Magic Kingdom, especially at Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party and Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. Also true of Fantasmic over in Disney's Hollywood Studios. And remember, if you stay for that last show, you will also find a less crowded park in general. Now, a companion tip to this one, if you do choose to see the last parade or the last show, be sure to ride rides during the first parade or the first show, because everybody else is going to be watching that parade or show during that time. You can go ride rides and experience much lower waits. Okay, next up, baby care centers have tons of supplies. This is very, very important to note. The baby care centers will be near the first aid stations in all 4 parks. And a lot of people don't realize that the baby care centers even exist. You can get things like diapers, baby food, infant and children's medications, pacifiers, binkies, passies, whatever you want to call them. And you can even warm your food and bottles in there. They also have private nursing areas. So baby care centers are a great place to go if you need to nurse while you're in the parks, if you need to buy supplies, you didn't bring quite enough diapers, or you need some extra food. It's also a good place to go if you are in charge of somebody who needs a little breather from the parks. If there's some sort of sensory issue and you need to get away from the crowds and away from the music and away from the crazy, go to the baby care center. You can sit quietly in a room and just decompress a little bit with that person. Next on our list of Disney die-hard secrets, some of the best restaurants aren't actually Disney restaurants. A lot of people don't realize this, but many of the great restaurants in Disney World are not run by Disney. They're run by third parties, like the Patina Group, for instance, who runs several restaurants in Disney Springs and Epcot. Yak and Yeti is owned by Landry's, who also run Rainforest Cafe and T-Rex over there in Disney Springs. But Yak and Yeti's really, really good, and I can't really vouch for the food at Rainforest Cafe or T-Rex very much, so Yak and Yeti's definitely worth it. And Swan and Dolphin also have some great restaurants like Il Molino, Shula's Steakhouse, The Fountain. Those are not run by Disney. And you've actually got lots of places over there in Disney Springs like Raglan Road and multiple other locations that are not run by Disney. So some of Disney's best restaurants are not run by Disney. Very interesting secret. All right, next we have to talk about hidden Mickeys and Easter eggs. Hidden Mickeys are all over the place. These are images of Mickey or outlines of Mickey Mouse that have been hidden by Disney Imagineers throughout the parks, attractions, and resorts in Walt Disney World. These are super fun to find, especially for kiddos. And if you happen to not have a park ticket one day, head to the resorts and see how many hidden Mickeys you can find. That'll be a great exploration for you and your family. Now, there's also tons of Easter eggs hidden by Disney Imagineers. And by Easter eggs, Disney means little secrets, little unknown gifts that they've sort of left for us. And we talk about these a lot in several of our other videos where we've got secrets of the Magic Kingdom, secrets of Animal Kingdom, and World Showcase, etc. So these are things like a picture of Mr. Toad in the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, where Mr. Toad is handing the deed to the ride over to Owl because Winnie the Pooh used to be Mr. Toad, the ride. Other Easter eggs include that great Madame Leota gravestone in the queue at Haunted Mansion, and also the show props you can find at Tower of Terror. So be sure to look for these Easter eggs, look for those hidden Mickeys, and check out the rest of our videos. We've got lots of awesome videos telling you about these specific Easter eggs. They're so fun to watch because you'd never notice them. All right, next tip we want to tell you about that only Disney diehards know, the alternative fireworks viewing location. So if you don't want to jostle for a location or a space to see the fireworks in the parks, head over to the Polynesian Village Resort Beach for the Magic Kingdom fireworks. It's a great place to watch the fireworks there. Narcoossee's over at Grand Floridian also has some great views and is often less booked up than California Grill over at the Contemporary Resort. You can also watch from Fantasyland. If you are in the park and you don't want to deal with that front of the castle craziness, head into Fantasyland and watch the fireworks from there. It's a really cool vantage point. Over at Epcot, you can head to the boardwalk area to see some of the Epcot fireworks. You won't see all the things happening on the lagoon, but you will see some of those fireworks over there. Next up, we want to tell you about the signature restaurant lounges. So a lot of the signature restaurants in Disney World can be pretty hard to get into. It's hard to get reservations for them. But here's a tip. You can actually go to the lounges next door and get right in. They don't take reservations, so you can get right in. First come, first serve. This is a great tip over there at Chico, especially California Grill, because don't forget, if you eat in their lounge, you can also watch that amazing fireworks view. So that one's really cool. You can order off the full menus at these locations as well, so you don't have to worry about missing out on the great food at that signature restaurant. And also, some signature restaurants have lounges next door that have their own unique menu items, like Hollywood Brown Derby Lounge or the Nomad Lounge over at Tiffin's in Animal Kingdom. Excellent places to dine. You don't have to worry about getting a reservation, and you get some of the best food in Disney World without fighting for that ADR. All right, here are those shortcuts I wanted to tell you about. There are some great shortcuts in Disney World that you need to know about if you're trying to get somewhere faster or if you're trying to get somewhere where you don't have to walk through the rain or whatever is going on outside. First of all, from Adventureland to Frontierland, you're going to want to cut through that bathroom area just past Aloha Isle to bypass most of Adventureland. So you're going to cut off a huge walk around over there by Frontierland if you go straight through this little bypass. Also in Magic Kingdom, you can walk through, if you are facing the castle to your left, you can walk through the Emporium and all of the other stores and get all the way to Casey's Corner. You can get out to Crystal Palace without ever stepping foot outside. So this is a great tip if it's really hot outside or if there's a parade going on and you're not able to really walk on the sidewalk. Go right through the Emporium and the rest of the stores and you will get all the way to Crystal Palace, practically to Adventureland, without having to battle the crowds on the street. Great tip. Over in Animal Kingdom, there's a great little secret passageway between Pandora and Festival of the Lion King. A lot of people think that the only way to get to Pandora, or out of Pandora, is through that entrance by Pete Safari. It's not. There's actually a separate entrance and exit that leads you over to Festival of the Lion King in Harambe Village. So keep that in mind. Every time I'm there, that walkway is practically empty. Now let's head to a couple of the resorts. The Beach Club Epcot entrance. If you're staying at the Beach Club Resort, you can avoid the hot Florida sun or the rainstorms by cutting through the whole resort to the far end, which leaves you off much closer to the Epcot entrance. There's a little door at the very edge of the Beach Club, comes out to a little gated walkway, and you can get into Epcot very quickly without having to walk on the whole pathway. So while it might not actually save you time necessarily, it will definitely keep you out of the hot weather a little bit longer. And then right next door over at the Boardwalk Inn, there's a great shortcut to get over to Hollywood Studios. You can cut through the resort from the boardwalk and past the main pool to end up farther down the path headed to Hollywood Studios. So instead of having to walk all the way around Jelly Rolls, you will cut off a huge chunk of walk if you go straight past the main Boardwalk Inn pool and you get over to that Hollywood Studios path. And finally, of course, everyone should know that the Contemporary Resort is the only resort that has a walking path directly from the hotel to Magic Kingdom. So that's a big reason why we love staying at the Contemporary. It's the only resort that you can walk to the Magic Kingdom, and it's going to save you a lot of time. Okay, next Disney Die Hard tip, eat at off times. Everybody gets hungry at the same time in Disney World, so what you want to make sure you're doing is eating before or after those stereotypical meal times. So a late lunch or early dinner is your best bet to avoid crowds. Most people will be at breakfast from 8 to 9 or 7 to 8 so they can get to the parks. For lunch, they'll be eating from 12 to 1:30 or 12 to 2. Dinner fills up around 6 to 7, so go early or go late. Eating at the resorts for lunch is a great way to get a great sit-down meal, a little relaxation in your day without fighting the crowds, because nobody's at the resorts during the day. Everybody's out at the parks, so the resorts are going to be much less crowded, and it's going to be much easier to get an advanced dining reservation at the table service meals in the resorts for lunch. This one's a fun tip, the electrical water pageant. I remember this from when I was a kid. This one is OG, you guys. Happens every night, but a lot of people aren't aware of it or they miss it because they're in the park or have left too soon to catch it. You'll find this on Seven Seas Lagoon, and it travels Seven Seas Lagoon and Bay Lake and then comes back through. This one debuted shortly after Disney World opened, and not much has changed since then, so it's awesome nostalgia for those of us who've been to Disney World since we were kids. And if you haven't, it's still a lot of fun to watch. Your kids are going to love it too. All right, next tip, you got to know about the International Gateway entrance to Epcot. So this is a great tip if you don't want to sort of fight or battle the future world early morning crowds. Take a Lyft, Uber, or taxi to the boardwalk or the beach club ahead of park opening and enter through the International Gateway when the park opens. International Gateway is going to be a lot less crowded than the front entrance, and it's also going to be a bit closer if you're trying to hit Frozen Ever After at Rope Drop. Also, you come in right by the France Pavilion, so you can stop at Les Halles for breakfast, which is a great tip. Everybody knows we love that place. But note that this tip might only be good for another couple of months because the Skyliner basically is going to ruin this tip with all of that extra traffic coming in at the International Gateway, which is where the Skyliner is going to drop people off. So the lines might get a little bit longer once the Skyliner is in progress over there. But until then, use the International Gateway entrance to get into Epcot. You'll have a lot shorter lines. Next tip, we talk about this all the time, but it's so important, that free ice water. Everyone should know this tip. Water bottles at Disney World are so expensive. You're going to be spending $5 to get a bottle of water, and it's usually pretty hot in Central Florida, so it's important to stay hydrated. So make sure you bring your own water bottles and fill them up with the free ice water you can get at nearly all of the quick service locations in Walt Disney World. They'll all have free ice water. All you have to do is ask. Next great tip, the bus wait times are in the My Disney Experience app. If you're wondering when a bus is going to come to your resort next, you can open your My Disney Experience app under your hotel info and see when the next bus is coming to each stop at your resort for each park. So this is a good one to kind of get your family and your kids out of the hotel a little bit quicker if you can say, hey, the bus is going to be here in 5 minutes. We got to get going. Also, if you're staying at the resorts, don't forget you can get a character wake-up call at the resorts. So have your favorite Disney characters give your kiddos a great wake-up call in the morning. Just press the wake-up call button and set the time for the call, and you never know who's going to be waking you up the next morning. Another good tip for resorts if you're staying at the Disney resorts. This one's pretty brand new. You can now get, quote, service your way. So this gives guests the option to opt out of housekeeping services in exchange for an electronic gift card. So amounts depend on the length of your stay, ranging from $10 for a 2-night stay to $130 for a 14-night stay. And you can still request refilling of amenities like shampoo and to have your trash emptied and still get your gift card. So be sure to take advantage of that if that suits your family. Now, I love talking about this. There is some great nightlife at Disney World, and a lot of people don't know about it. They only think that it's parks, 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 and there's nothing going on anywhere else. Well, there is. Over at Disney Springs, there's a lot of good nightlife, including at the Edison. This is a place where you're going to have great eats, but there's some crazy stuff that happens at night. After about 10 o'clock, it switches to sort of a 21 and over location. You're going to find a 1920s theme with great cocktails, late night eats, burlesque performances, jugglers, live music, contortionists, and more over there at the Edison. So that's an interesting bit of nightlife if that's your jam. And of course, there's Jelly Rolls. If you love piano bars, you can head over to Jelly Rolls, which is a dueling piano bar on the boardwalk. It's a place I go all the time because I love it so much. I love live music, and these guys do a great job. So it's all requests all the time, so make sure to bring your requests when you go. And finally, we've got some special discounts we want to tell you about. Lots of Disney diehards are annual pass holders, which gives you access to some great discounts others might not know about. Merch, food, rooms, etc. You can get discounts on tons of stuff, which is why sometimes it's a good idea for one person in your group to get an annual pass, even if the others don't. And we've got a whole video about that, which you can check out right here. Also, Tables in Wonderland can get you 20% off at lots of table service locations. That's 20% off your food and your alcohol with Tables in Wonderland. And a lot of the lounges around the resorts are also included. So if you're a cocktail and tapas type of person, this one can pay off pretty quickly. It's $175 a year for Florida residents and $150 for Disney Vacation Club and annual pass holders. And then don't forget that the Joffrey's coffee stands also give you a 20% off annual pass holder discounts. So there are 20 awesome tips and things you need to know that only Disney diehards know. So tell me the truth, Disney diehards. How many of these did you know? Let us know in the comments. And if you want this full list, we can get it for you. Be sure to head over to disneyfoodblog.com/secret tips and we'll get you this full list on a PDF. All you have to do is sign up for our completely free DFB newsletter, which we really do try to make kind of fun. So I hope you sign up for that. Get your PDF. You can see all these tips right in your email. Alright, you guys, please give this video a like. Please subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. It's really easy to do. And click that notification bell so we can let you know when we have a new video. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.